And the next campaign we have is another exciting one, and this one is for Kingdoms Forlorn, which has been much anticipated over the past few years. This is a game that's been in development for a while, and I know a lot of you are really looking forward to it, including myself. And to support that, this one is also our Discord pick of the week. And this plays 1 to 4 players, and they don't have a time here because this is kind of a story-driven narrative campaign type game, so just expect it to be a lot. This is a cooperative game and there will be a shared narrative adventure, but a lot of the storytelling actually focuses on the individual characters and the way that the players choose to develop them. There will be a lot of ways that these different stories intertwine and bounce off each other, but this does have a large focus on the individual player and their individual character that they're playing as. This all takes place in a dark fantasy world, and each scenario will be focused on one of the many forgotten kingdoms. And if you're a fan of narrative games, you can expect excellent writing here because this is all written by an established and professional writer. And the full name of this game is actually Kingdoms Forlorn, Dragons, Devils, and Kings. So I imagine you can expect to see all of those within the story, and I'm sure there will be a lot of conflict between them. I don't know if they literally mean devils or if they're just using that as a term to describe the monsters that you're going to be encountering. And one thing to note here is that this is coming from pretty much a first-time publisher. The only other game that they released was Aeon's Trespass Odyssey, which hasn't actually been delivered yet, but I do believe that it is being delivered over the coming weeks. And normally I'd be very skeptical about a publisher of this size trying to produce such an ambitious game, but I was one of the backers of Aeon's Trespass Odyssey and I have been following along with this game as well. And this is a company that's been constantly communicating, iterating on both their miniature design and their miniature process, as well as their game design and game mechanisms. There's tons of evidence of playtesting. It really seems like they are a type of team that really just wants to make the best in every aspect of the game, and they've always seemed to listen to and respect their backers. And there was quite a lot of frequent communication for their previous campaign. Each player is going to be starting with their own player board, backstory, and trait cards, and the trait cards are basically different abilities and powers that get triggered by different events, like how much damage that you've taken or how much damage you've inflicted during a battle. Players will also be able to change their character throughout the game by crafting and discovering new items, and gaining different multi-use cards and special abilities throughout. The way to win a scenario is for the players to collectively defeat the final boss, but then you're also trying to complete your own personal objectives as well that are relevant to your character's story. And this game's played over 2 phases. There's the delve phase and the clash phase. And during the delve phase, players are going to be exploring different tiles within the kingdom that they've chosen to explore. And that's going to be relative to the scenario that you've chosen. And you're going to be exploring different points of interest, making new discoveries, meeting new people, and trying to pursue your own narrative story while also becoming intertwined in the overarching story and the stories of your comrades in your party. And then the clash phase is where battles are going to get triggered and players are going to be going up against groups of enemies or single enemies such as the final boss. And players are going to be fighting on a tactical board to go up against these enemies, and a very interesting aspect about the way that battles work in this game, and something I'm a huge fan of, is that the players and the monsters both get stronger and stronger the more damage they take and the longer that the battle goes on. So this is a battle system that constantly ramps up. And another design choice that I really like and will really help bring the players together and really hammer home that cooperative aspect of the game is that the decisions that one player makes while fighting against an enemy will actually grant different advantages and bonuses to the next player. So depending on your character and the choices that you make, you can really make different openings or weak spots that your next player can take advantage of. And the battle does use a combination of card play and dice rolling. So if you're a fan of heavily narrative games with a lot of beautiful artwork and miniatures, this is definitely one that you'll want to take a look at. And I know this will get compared to Kingdom Death Monster quite a lot. I do see the similarities here. It is that same type of game with story elements and the strategic combat. But I will say that I think a lot more people will like the subject matter of this one much more because Kingdom Death Monster does get pretty vulgar.